This is take 3 of um, understanding tidal waves for geography 202. Time of recording is 1:54 in the morning. This is take 3 if I didn't say that already. Question 1. What are the forces that cause tides? In the readings of Stowe, the big things that cause tides are going to be the moon, how that changes through the seasons. There's the spring tide and the neap tide. And then earthquakes were the big thing that I saw in the readings of not just Stowe, but all of my articles as well, causing higher tides and lower tides based off of how the ocean floor will move. Question 2, based on the forces producing tides, what do you expect a tidal wave period to be? I looked up and saw, through the book and through everything else, 11 to 14 hours is what I was looking at and thought of after, with a 4-hour tide interval, that's how long that lasts, is 4 hours is the highest tide. After looking it up, it was about 12 and a half hours on average worldwide. Question 3, how would you expect high or low tide to be located on the coast to occur at a different time of the day? Why or why not? I said I would expect high tide to occur more because of the moon's orbit, just because I would expect it to come more with the high tide throughout the year. Not throughout the year, throughout spring seasons. Stowe states that it should be 2 high tides and 2 low tides a day, very cyclical, very reoccurring, for lack of a better word. Question 4, does tidal range, the difference of the elevations of water between high and low tide vary from one day to the next? Is it the same everywhere on Earth? Why or why not? Tidal range changes daily as seasons change, and it is not different everywhere, or it is different everywhere on Earth. For example, Stowe had the Red Sea being anywhere from 12 to 16 meters tall compared to the Pacific Ocean's 1 to 3 meters tall. What approach could you use to test some of these hypotheses of refining your understanding of tides? I said travel. That's the one thing I put down in my notes, is travel. It just makes the most sense to me, as you're able to use, instead of just looking at computers all day, you can actually go out and use what you've applied and see it happen in the real world. That's just what I was thinking. We're going on to question 6. This is where we get into the breakdown of the tides and currents in OAA.gov. Considering the 4 data points listed, why do you think they use MLLW for default? And after looking and reading it, to me, the thing that makes the most sense is the depths and normality. You can see what's different, what changes throughout just the seasons, and the depths. That's what really got me, was keeping what's depth, how low something will go, and calculating that up to how high something will come above. That it just makes the most sense to me, if I'm being honest. On why I think they use MLLW for default is seeing how deep the ocean floor goes and comparing that to how high the waves are in comparison to abnormalities, and keeping in with the abnormalities with that as well. Question 7, if I had a house next to water and worried about the house flooding, which datum would be best? In my opinion, I saw the MHH W, or the mean high water watch, because this gives everyday updates on how high the average water would be. It was the second one in clicking on the question mark, and it just showed you how high, not on average, every day, the highest point would be. That would be the one I would want to use. And then now we get into the single questions, part 3. What is the interval of the days shown on x-axis on the graph? A single answer in single days. I said 28. This word was questioned a little, or worded a little weird for me. What is the interval of the days on the x-axis in these graphs? And the single answer is that's 28 days across on the x-axis, and that's what I saw being the consistency between this and in the website. Number 9, what is the approximate range between the highest and lowest tides? Provide one answer for each, and I had it written down here. For Galveston, it ranged, for what I had for my month, it lowered. The lowest point was 1.5, and the highest was about 2.4, 2.46. San Francisco was It ranged from like 4 foot to 4.2 foot. And then it was at a 5 foot prediction. So I saw that as under. And then Boston was at an 8 foot prediction height, but only reached about 7.5. I'm sorry, it was at 7 and reached 7.5 because that one went over the prediction line. But it really didn't go under 6 foot. So when it curved up, its peak was 7.5 and its lowest was 6. Is the range always the same from day by day? No, this is not the same range day by day. We talked about how tides are different day by day and even hour by hour. No. Even in my notes, it's just no. Question 11. We have to flip the page. No, we don't. Do high tides and low tides occur at the same time each day? If not, by how much? No. According to this, and other research, it's approximately 12 minutes. It's an average time. It's going to be different with equinoxes, as those are more pinnacle points for the moon to be rotating around the Earth, which gives you different tides. But on average, it's roughly 12 minutes. I'm sorry, 12 minutes a day is when the tides change. I should explain that better. As the moon rotates around the Earth, the tides get shifted off about 12 minutes a day. We are now on to question 12. What are the tidal periods? Approximate time between each successive high tide. And as Stella stated, it's about, there should be 2 high and 2 low a day. Going on, starting with Galveston, it was about 11 hours and 32 minutes. Was my average that I saw throughout the month between March and April. For Boston, it was 11 hours and 18 minutes for the same time, and San Francisco was 12 hours and 13 minutes. This seems a little weird to me, but this is what the information that I got. Question 13. For each station, classify each station's tidal period, diurnal, semi-diurnal, or mixed. What are the observations on the graphs that led you to these classifications? This one I was a little confused by. I'm not sure how well I can break this one down. But Galveston, I got diurnal, Boston, I'm sorry, I had that mixed up. Galveston was mixed, Boston was mixed, and San Francisco was diurnal, and that was, I'm forgetting what the definition. What led me to that was just how it was broken down on our graphing. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the definitions of these. I'll post something in the comments to this video. The definitions of what that is and how I got there. As I just I'm blanking on it right now. Question 14. Describe briefly how the tidal range varies and fluctuates over times at each station. So Galveston was the one that really got, like, I was really curious as it was like little squiggly lines, like a lie detector in a way, where it went up to 2.5 back to 1.5, and it did it fairly quickly. Going for San Francisco, it was low, slow, and underwhelming. It was that really low range, and it went up, and it went back down, and it went up. And for Boston, it was the calm, consistent high is what I wrote down, as it was high water waves, but it didn't reach crazy amounts, but it wasn't as erratic as Galveston's range. Question 15. Based on the daily tidal changes over a month, identify the approximate dates of what you would have seen a full or new moon. Why did I pick these days? The day I picked based off of what I had gotten off the graphs, I said it was going to be the next one being the 14th of May. I was actually wrong because I cheated. I just looked it up, and it's the 16th of May. Based off of how the full moon reacts with the waters reaching the heights, I saw it and I said 14th of May should be the next time we see the highest if it pulls it in on a full moon. But I was wrong. 16. Recalling your hypothesis from the tidal assumptions activity. How do your observations here compare to the hypothesis formulated in the activity? I'm not 100% sure how I should answer this question. It's worded kind of weird for me. Recalling my hypothesis from the tidal assumptions activity. How do your observations compare here to the hypothesis formulated in that activity? I'm not sure. I said, based on my work I've done here, a lot of the things I've looked at are very similar, but they're all off. Based off of that and based off of the map that we've done earlier. I did earlier in the night as I finally hit the internet again. If I can grab it. The ocean currents all move together. Not together, but they're all move at some point. All, I'm not sure of a good metaphor. It's not like a clock where they all have to move. It's like a restaurant. Your front of house takes care of the people while the people in the back of the house do the cooking. Very similar here. Many different parts of the ocean move differently and do their own things in their own time. There is no question 17, so we're going to skip right to 18. And do storms affect the observed water levels green when compared to the predicted water levels blue? If so, by how much? So the predicted water levels in blue only go to about approximately 11.5 feet, while the actual observed titles in green went to about 15 feet, showing them that close up. That's just the exaggeration of the ones on over here on the side of the screen. I'm not sure if this will be reversed when I upload it. But it was close when it came to from 3.2 when it started to 3.8. Blue is about 2 to 3 feet off each time going up and down. It actually predicted it to be deeper than it was when it wasn't. Excuse me. And then again on 3.12, it seems to be deeper while the tide is then higher. Well, that is this assignment. I forget what this is called. I will leave those comments, definitions to diurnal, undiurnal. I'm forgetting how to pronounce these words. Current time is now 2:06, and I will leave those comments below. Again, I apologize for doing this so late. I honestly, my internet was out, and I wasn't sure what to do, and I just getting them done now, just to show that I am still committed to this class, regardless of what's going on. I hope you can forgive this act, and I'm even going to do the next assignment, which actually is due considered today because it's now the 15th of April. Thank you for watching. I hope this works for you doing a video. I'm able to get my thoughts better and more clear doing this than I would to do a paper for an assignment such as this. It just makes more sense to me to do it in this way, and I'll be able to upload it to my YouTube channel, which will then embed to the assignment. Thank you, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend.